everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Hey everybody, this is Antoine, aka Big Truckin', coming live from the car. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to start sharing parts of my life, the life behind the smile, and talk about certain situations that most people don't want to talk about. I want to talk about me losing my virginity to my mother. And I know it's going to be a shocker to some people, and it's going to be unbelievable to some people. Like, who would think that a mother would do that to their child? But I really want to be geared towards the men and and people that really feel like they had to keep it to themselves and not express things, and because I was one of them that I had to keep it to myself and couldn't express what happened to me until I was an adult. So I want to be able to tell my story, be able to talk about my life, the grooming, the things that happened in between, just a testimony for real, to let people know they can overcome certain situations that feel like you can overcome. But yeah, my first story is the beginning of my life, the story of being and losing my virginity to my mother. Hey guys, good morning. This is Antoine, aka Big Truckin', coming from the inside of the truck. First I want to start off by just saying that thank you all for all your warm and heartfelt messages, and replies to my last video. And it really made me feel like I'm moving forward in the right direction. Because I was debating whether to let my story out, and just because of the way people would look at you or try to characterize you. But I care more about getting my story out to reach those who feel like they can't express themselves or have to hide and not talk about things. So let's begin. So it all started when I was around 10 years old, and it lasted till I was damn near 12. It started, suddenly, I didn't grow up with my mom, in the beginning. When I was younger, I stayed with my grandmother and my uncle, because my mother was always on drugs, and she was on Ready Rock. So she was in and out of my life, and when I would see her, it was for short periods of time. But once I did go back to stay with her, I was around 10, and I was sleeping in bed with her. And, one day I was sleeping, and I was woken up to my foot being placed on her private part. And I actually laid there, act like I was asleep, didn't move. I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't realize what was really going on until I got an adult and was able to put two and two together. She rubbed my foot on her private until she finished doing what she was doing. After all the moisture and everything that she left on my foot, she pushed it to the side and just left me there. And I continued to pretend like I was asleep to the next morning. We didn't talk about it. We didn't say anything. I act like nothing ever happened. And it proceeded on that way for a while till she started doing it while I was woke. And at that time, it was still my foot in her private part. And it didn't start to really have an impact with me until I was about maybe 11. And close to 12, like 11, 11 and a half is when she really started, like, having sex with me. And I can remember one particular incident to where we had sex in the morning. And I remember she was getting me dressed for school, and we went downstairs, walking down the steps, walking down the street. I was in the 5th grade, and she was taking me to elementary school. And I remember I said, Ma. She said, yeah, Antoine. I said, Ma, can we do what we did today when I get home? And she said, I think about it, Antoine. I think about it. And you know, me asking that question at that time to this day still bothers me. You know, because I felt as though that I asked for everything that happened to me. And, you know, at that age, I'm an 11 and a half. I'm feeling like, you know, I like this feeling. I never felt this before. This is my mama. Mama ain't going to do nothing to hurt me. This feel good. I like the way this feel. I like the way that I'm liking it. So I'm asking for more. Can we do it again, Ma? You know? And she said, I think about it. So, you know, at that time, you know, I didn't know. I didn't really know what to do. You know, I was becoming a teenager, a preteen, and I remember my mother would begin to discipline me as a parent would do. And I didn't see a mother that was trying to discipline her child. I seen somebody that was taking advantage of me. And I couldn't protect myself before, but now I'm 11 and a half, about to be 12. I'm going to protect myself. So me and my mom used to be fist fighting in the house. You know, you're not going to. So I'm fighting her, trying to defend myself far as you're not taking advantage of me no more. You're not going to do this to me no more. I'm standing up for myself. You're not going to discipline me no more. None of that. You're not touching me no more. And I ran to my grandmother, and I told my grandmother, I said, Grandma, Granny. Now, my grandma was my best friend, man. She raised me, told me to be the man and the father that I am today. I said, Granny, my mother been touching me and having sex with me. My grandmother told me, Antoine, we don't talk about that type of stuff. You keep that to yourself. And Antoine, don't you tell nobody else. Don't tell nobody what you told me, okay? And I said, yes, ma'am, I won't say nothing else. But she's not going to be putting her hands on me, Granny. She got to stop touching me. So my grandmother tried her best to keep everything together, man. So the didn't stop. None of that stuff stopped. And I remember I would be like, you keep touching me and on me. I'm gonna tell what you did to me. And you know, she said what most predators say to people. Go ahead. Go ahead. Nobody gonna do nothing. Took all my power away from me. 11-and-a-half-year-old child. Took my power away from me. Told me to go ahead and tell. And I knew what she said would be true because I told my grandmother. And she told me not to say nothing. So I didn't say anything to nobody. Felt as though it was my fault. I asked for this. That time I asked my mama, can we do this again? It was my fault that I'm getting all this, getting treated like this. She getting high and beating me all in my head because her drugs was bad. All this was my fault. And I held that with that. Thinking what she was doing to me was just a normal thing. Because nobody gonna protect me. Nobody gonna believe me. Granny said it. Keep it to myself. You know? And I kept it to myself, man. And it only stopped. It only stopped because she gave me a STD.
Damn.
Can you imagine being 11 and a half years old, walking into a doctor's office with green pus, yellow pus, blood coming out your I was an 11-and-a-half-year-old child, man. Dealing with stuff like that adults deal with. In pain. That she let me sit in pain for 2-3 days. Suffering with that pain. Scared to use the bathroom before I even go to the doctors. Scared to pee. Because it hurted so bad. For something I didn't ask for. So if anybody hearing this, I want to tell you, if anybody doing anything to you, mother, father, no matter how much you love them, you let it out. You tell. You don't keep stuff in. You don't. That's what they did in them old days. You don't keep that stuff in these days. You tell, and you tell fast. No matter who it is. Anybody listen to you, you tell. But I was told not to tell. And the part 2 of this video is going to be the aftermath of me going to the doctors and the things that I had to do to prevent her from going to jail. Because I love my mother. Like I said, I didn't get to be with her for long. And, I wanted to be with my mom. I wanted that motherly love. But my mother is the first woman that hurt my heart. And my mother is the first woman that made me into the person I became when it came to treating women the way I treated them. So I hope that this part of my story reached you, and I hope that you can see the sincerity that's in my heart. And I hope that you understand that you're not alone and you can tell anybody that will listen to you. I had contracted STD. And so if you don't know how we got to this point, look back at my part 1 and it'll bring you up to speed of where we at today. So let's go. All right. So, the first day, it just happened all of a sudden. Went to the bathroom and it hurted so bad, like it was a pain that's unimaginable. And I still can feel it to this day because I never, thank God, never had it happen to me since, but I still remember that pain. And so I went and talked to my mother. I said, "Ma, it hurt when I pee." And she said, "What you mean it hurt when you pee? Let me see." So I took it out, and when she seen it, it was yellow, green, and blood, pus, it's a little graphic, but yeah, it was all that going on. And she said, "All right, well, we're going to take care of it." And so I'm from Baltimore, and if you grew up on Baltimore Street between 95 and 96, or the early 90s, late 90s, whatever, it was a store called 7 Days. And at the corner of that store, it was a carryout called Mr. Chicken. So they was owned by the same people. But 7 Days, they had a guy that worked at the front of the store, like protecting in case some of the kids were stealing stuff and all that. So he was fond of me. I don't remember his name, and I'm not going to make up a name, just for the story, because it would be lying. So I'm not even going to make up a name. I'm just saying it was a man, because I don't remember his name. But my mom said, "That's a guy, that's a man, and I'm going to take you up there to see him, because he's a man, and I believe he'd be able to, basically tell you what's going on with you." So we go up there to 7 Days. And my mom said, "Yeah, Antoine having some problems. It hurt when he used the bathroom and this and that." He said, "Oh yeah, well, what you mean? Let me see what's going on." So they take me to the back of the store, not no back room, but literally the back of the store where the canned goods and cereal and stuff was. And my mom told me to take it out, so I took it out. And he seen the discoloration of all the fluids that was coming out of there. And he said, "Oh no, I don't know what that is. You need to take him to the doctors." And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because my mom thought to take me to a dude, a man, a full grown man, had me pull my stuff out to show him instead of taking me to the doctors. But anyway, so we go back to the house. I'm in pain for the rest of that day to the next day. And then she sit there, I said, "Ma, it hurt so bad, Ma, it hurt real bad. It hurt so bad, like I was really like in tears because the joint hurted so bad." So she said, "All right, we're going to take you to the doctor." She said, "You don't want to lose Mommy, right? And I want y'all to remember this. I want y'all to remember that I never lived with my mother long term. It was always, short stats, growing up. So yeah, didn't want my mother to get in trouble. So my mom said, if you don't want me to go away, you need to tell them this. You don't want to lose me, right, Antoine? I said, no, ma, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to go to jail. No, ma. Ma, I love you, ma. Ma, I love you. I don't want you to go to jail, man. And when I tell y'all, man, all I was doing was looking for love, yo. A motherly love, but not that type of motherly love. So I didn't want her to get in trouble. So she came up with a story of, came up with a name, Crystal. And so she said, well, tell him the girl name was Crystal. She your age, and y'all had sex. And even to the street, Fayette Street. He even gave me a building, but I couldn't remember the number. And I still can't remember the number to the day. So I'm not even going to lie about the number. But I know it was an abandoned house. It was an abandoned apartment complex. And she was like, tell them that you had sex with her. And that's the one who did this to you. That's who you got it from. And she said, we kept repeating it. We kept repeating it. We kept repeating it. And I said, all right, ma. She said, because you don't want mommy to go to jail, right? I said, no, ma. I don't want you to go to jail. I love you, ma. I love you. I want you to be here with me, And so we basically go down to University of Maryland, pediatrics. I explained to them what was going on. And they looking at me like the story I'm telling them don't make sense. And they said, how old are you? And I said, 11. It was a doctor and 2 nurses. And because the doctor couldn't even believe it, so the nurses, he had witnesses. And he was like, you 11? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, how old was Crystal? And I said, I think she's 11 to 12 too. And he said, really? Well, what's the address? And I told him the Fayette Street address, and I told him everything my mother told me to tell him. And I looked over at her, and she looked at me like keep on going, like you doing good, right? And so I stuck to the script. Yeah, the Crystal, she 11, 12. That's who gave it to me. And they said, well, we need the address, told them Fayette Street. And then they said, do you have a phone number for him? My mother gave him some type of fake, because it was landlines. Then it wasn't even no cell phones, I don't believe. Well, I don't remember if it was, but I doubt it. But a landline, phone number. And and she gave him a fake landline number. And they kept asking me the story like 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And I kept telling them the same story. And they just couldn't believe it, man. But they took a Q-tip. It was a real long Q-tip. And they stuck it in the tip of my, privates. And that joint hurt it so bad. And they made me drink so much water so they can see what was going on. And it hurt it so bad, y'all. When I tell you that joint hurt it so bad. I can feel the pain right now as I'm speaking, telling you a crazy mess. And so I told them, so they told me I tested positive for chlamydia and gonorrhea is what I had at the age of 11 and a half years old, man. And so the story worked. Never heard nothing back from them. I guess they went looking for Crystal at the time because because they trying to figure out who is this little girl that's giving out STDs at the age of 11 or 12. They contacting the health department because this is unreal. At that time it's unheard of having this stuff at this age, at 11 years old. So that after leaving there, my mother was nice to me for a little bit. For a little bit she was nice to me, and we had like a little motherly bond.
Damn, I wonder if the mother got checked out. Like, did the mother go get checked out too? Like, did she go to a different hospital, or like she the one that burnt them?
And what I was longing for, but then that's when the start. She got off of drugs. That's when the physical started. She got on the drugs. She might not have been doing drugs. She got off, but she still was me physically. That didn't stop. I don't know if I reminded her of what she did to me or whatever, but she still was physically me. And I remember she gave her life to the Lord. And we went to the childhood church that I grew up in. We sat in front of the pastor. And I believe she got tired of me, kept on throwing up every time she was trying to beat me. Got tired of me throwing up that I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to tell what you did to me. I think she got tired of that, and she figured if she went and talked to the pastor, that everything was going to be all right is already out in the open. So we go to the talk to the pastor. She look at me like, tell him. Right? Still controlling me. Tell him. So I told him what she did to me and, you know, the SA stuff. And the way he looked, it was like he started to cry himself. I started crying. And then my mother started crying and said she was so sorry. Now, y'all, I'm 11 and a half, 12, 13, whatever. Maybe 13. I was 13 when we talked to him. I don't really know what she was apologizing for until I got to an adult to really think back on it. But she apologized and she moved on with her life. The pastor told her don't do it again and not to touch me no more, and that was it, man. She moved on with her life, started serving the Lord and worshiping God, helping, you know, other people, you know, drug addicts and counseling them. Went on with her life. And I was still stuck to deal with whatever happened to me.
What to do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video. Back in the confessional. And yes, we staying lit, big dog, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. Nah, man, that was a crazy, crazy story, man. Everybody felt this, man. The pastor, the grandma was crazy. The grandma just saying, don't tell nobody. Like, that's the stuff that we always talk about, like, especially when it happened to young girls in the family. And they be like, don't say nothing, don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't never happened in my family that I know of, because, you know. But as far as I know, shout out to Big Truck in 3651 or 365. One of them is like Big Truck in 365 on TikTok. Crazy. So y'all go there and check out the rest of, you know, part 3 and stuff. But I thought that was enough for me. Crazy situation. I hope he went to go get some counseling after that because he was traumatized. Burning at 11 years old is crazy. Not only is you burning, you got burnt by your mom. She gave you 2 curable diseases, thank God, but not even thank God, but like, you know, thank God. And then, you know, she over there just hot and burning, like, and not even knowing that she just giving this out like candy to her son. And, you know, from the first thing of her using his foot is like weird. Like, I don't know if it's the drugs or what it might have been that made her do that. It's just like, man, some people just don't got it all. And man, this man, the was passed down. The was passed down. Not for 1 second do I think that she just decided to do that to her son. It happened to her too. That's what happens to a lot of people who been, you know, abused in that manner. They tend to, you know, do that type of stuff. So, that was just gross, you know. Then to blame it on somebody else, a random person, that's a fake person. The grandma was terrible. The pastor, I'm more shocked at. And even, especially if she's serving in that church, like, you know, only a couple years had passed, not long enough for somebody to be forgiven for something so crazy and heinous. Like, you do that to your son, and the pastor just overlooking it, just like, you know, first crying and sympathizing with him, and then saying, you know, keep it to yourself. You know, I don't know, man. I just don't see that being, I don't see that as a logical thing. You know what I mean? Like, how a pastor could do that. And that's why people so lose faith in so many churches, because of the leadership. It's terrible. And that starts with the pastor. And, you know, that's nothing. That's the devil working inside the pulpit. And it's crazy because the devil is not actually a person per se. It's not like, it's like the devil can be sent to you in many ways. The devil was sent to him, his grandma, his mama, the pastor, like, just tore that little man up. And then he's blaming himself for this. He's blaming himself for this. That even worse. And I'm sure this happens to a lot of ladies. So a lot of ladies can be like, oh, yeah, it happened to me. I think it's a few of them in the story talking about they lost it to their dad and stuff like that. But it's just so crazy and bizarre that this is life. This is somebody's life. But it's not unbelievable. I mean, it's not unbelievable. It's believable. It's crazy. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments section.